All right. In this class, very quick class, we're going to look at adjectives. Um, so how do we start this? Let's look at male and female adjectives. We know in Portuguese, for example, something could be bonito and bonita. We know, all right, in Portuguese, we can have something that's masculine or feminine. This is fluke, and fluke is a gato. That's right, buddy, aren't you? We could have a car. Car is masculine. We can have some fucking fabulous here, which is, I don't know what that is in Portuguese. But things can be masculine or they can be feminine. We know in English there is no bonito, bonita. We just have adjectives. And we know that objects have no gender. They have no sex. So objects aren't masculine or feminine. Or are they? So, for example, we know with people that we have, for example, the adjective handsome, which we use for men. And then traditionally, when we look at, for example, describing a woman's beauty, we might say that, for example, she is cute. So what is cute? Cute describes a kind of beauty that is non-sexual in any way. But then when we describe the sexuality of a lass, of a lady, we might say, well, she's pretty. And we know, I hope we do, if we use the word very, it's a terrible thing. So we don't say that she is very pretty. You know, we have degrees of beauty. So from pretty, if she is very pretty, we don't say that. We say she is beautiful. And we don't want to say she is beautiful, very beautiful, sorry. We don't want to say that because in Portuguese we say muito bonita, muito linda. But in English we don't want to because very it's fucking ugly. We have levels for a reason. We have words and language, adjectives, the correct verbs, the correct ways to express as an example of you learning the language and knowing how to use the language correctly. Correctly. Pronounce it correctly, can you? So, pretty, beautiful. Then what's more beautiful than beautiful? Simple. Gorgeous. What's more gorgeous than gorgeous? Stunning. What's more stunning than stunning? How do I spell this? Is it with an S? It's with an S. Mesmerizing. And so, and there's more. I mean, in there as well as like sexy and alluring and blah, 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 and related to the different ways we look at sexuality and how a person feels or how they make us feel inside. Ideally, someone is only pretty because they make you feel pretty. Someone is beautiful because they make you feel beautiful. Someone is gorgeous because you feel gorgeous when you look at them. The world is a motherfucking mirror. It is. The world is a mirror. We see ourselves in that mirror. So, on that alone, yes, we have like a lot of adjectives for girls and we have one for dudes. Because men are simple. They're like squares. No, let's look at this in a different way. Let's look at objects, for example, and then we'll come back to people. So let's look at, for example, a bridge. In fact, it's not that a bridge is masculine or feminine, it's both. When we describe the form of the bridge, we use effeminate language. We use soft language. So we describe the beauty of the bridge. And we say it is pretty. When we say it is beautiful, we talk about the bridge's curves. So we can say it is curvy. And so when we describe that form, that shape, it's not that the bridge is effeminate, it's that we become effeminate. Yes, that when you're describing the beauty of anything, in your effeminate form, you are describing the subjective value of something, the meaning, the color. When you're describing with color, with warmth, that's your feminine side. Yes, gentlemen, you have a feminine side. When you describe the structure of that bridge, well, then everything all of a sudden becomes masculine. Everything becomes sharp. Everything becomes pointed. Everything becomes rigid. But it's not just that your words become rigid, it's that you become rigid. When you describe the velocity, the strength, and the power of that bridge, we describe it as robust, capable of surviving strong winds, cyclonic winds, and earth-shattering vibrations. We become masculine. But then when we describe its contours, we soften inside. We become more effeminate. Our subjective, this we can look at, for example, the left and the right. So when we think about, people might say, the female brain and a male brain. Well, we might say, for example, a subjective mind and an objective mind. The subjective mind is always, well, let's start. The objective mind is going to describe the canvas. It's going to describe the pieces and the structure. The subjective mind is going to be the paint on that canvas. It's going to be the meaning and purpose to it. It's going to be color. It's going to be warmth or cold, whatever it might be. So in all objects, when I describe like the meaning and significance of this, my language becomes naturally rounder. And that's kind of it, is that our form language is rounded. Whereas our objective structural language is pointy. Maybe that's why, I don't know, isn't triangles are supposed to be kind of masculine and circles are feminine? I don't know about this shit. I had never read a book in my life. But either way, it's an interesting understanding, is that it's not that an object is masculine or feminine, it's that we become masculine and feminine. This maybe is why a lot of people, not a lot of people, but many folks are, they feel awkward or uncomfortable in talking about beauty, in talking about things like love, openly, and saying that word out loud. Because to say that word is to be tender, it's to be softer, it's to practice your feminine side. Me as a writer, I mean, that's all we fucking do all day long, and the painter is no different. There is as a writer, there's your objective side, which is structure and form. There's how to build a story, the structure that the story should fall and follow. But then your feminine side is, the language that comes out, the meaning and interpretation, the metaphors or the symbology that you're trying to put into this story. And that's the significance of that story itself. The same thing that you might have any form of dance will have its structure and its rule. That is its objective masculine side, whether it's ballet or what contemporary dance is like taking ballet and smashing it to pieces. It's a rebellion against that structure. But it has its own structure. It has its own rule. It has its own idea, or else we don't know it's contemporary dance. Or in the same way of jazz, almost kind of breaking the structure of formal music theory and classical music and smashing it to pieces. But it doesn't live without rule. It has rule. It has its own structure that defines it as being jazz. So all things are this relationship of the feminine and the masculine, which is kind of like this fucking symbol on my fucking hand of the awen, which is the druidic symbol of the emergence of masculine and feminine. All art is that. It's the masculine and feminine coming together. It's an objective world with a subjective meaning. We, you and I, and whoever the fuck is watching this at home, probably fell on the wrong fucking channel, or it's one of my ex-students. Hey, how you going? Hey, Geraldine, how you doing, buddy? How's Italy? It's that, fuck, I lost my train of thought, trapped at the station with empty bags in my hand, looking in the wrong direction. Look, all things are the correct balance of subjectivity and objectivity. and knowing how to work them. So in Portuguese, we'll say, you know, that a carro is masculine. So then every adjective becomes masculine. And so then even when you say that o carro é bonito, you get to be a little bonito. You get to be a little masculine with it. I'm not going to say the word beautiful or pretty. No, I'm too much of a man to say that. I'm gonna take my effeminate adjectives. I'm gonna make them masculine sounding. No, it's fucking pretty, beautiful. I always looked at cars in a way that a car is like a mother's womb, because it's, you know, not in Brazil, of course. A car is a fucking. It's a car in Brazil is like a mother's womb, yes, but a mother's womb where everyone is trying to kick it, because a car in most movies, in Hollywood movies, like the killer's trying to get you, and the girl is always trying to open up the keys and get in the car door. God damn it, if she can just lock that door, we're all safe. You can put on your favorite fucking Radiohead song and the world disappears outside, and turn on the air conditioner. Now everything is warm and cozy, just like it was inside your mother's stomach. Of course, in Brazil, you get fucking robbed by a motorboy like 2 minutes later. So cars have a very different perspective. Kian, get back on track. Sorry, Kian. It's all right, Kian. So yes, a bridge any object, but even when we look at people, let's come all the way back up to people. When we look at a lass, or a lady, or a woman, or a girl, however she chooses to define herself, in whatever period of therapy or self-discovery or absolute understanding of herself in this world, whatever. Okay. We can describe, once again, her in a feminine form, but we can also describe the things she does. Maybe she's a guitar player, for example, and as a guitarist, maybe we can describe her form and her appearance and say, God damn, she's fucking beautiful. God, she's fucking gorgeous. Or when we're watching her play and say, God damn, she fucking crushes, absolutely annihilates. So when we're describing her ability to play, we're doing that in a masculine form, because that alone is this, her weapon, her axe is this like chainsaw that's cutting through fucking the forest of my avid, I don't know, insert now. Fucking something, mental engagement, I don't know. But either way, when we describe, once again, like, I mean, we're describing the form and her shape, and we're describing her as beautiful, pretty. But once again, we feel that as well inside. The world is a mirror. And when we look at anyone, we see either ourselves or we see aspects of ourselves. That's why people are disgusted when they see things that disgust them, because they feel disgusting. And because when they see the reflection as that person, because we are all people and we are the world. We are the world. We are the ones that make a difference. So let's start giving. There's a sorry, it's my youth coming back. I'm sure that was like Live Aid or something like that from the 80s. Kian, what was the purpose of this video? This is supposed to be like 2 minutes. Male and female adjectives. We have them. And yes, when we describe masculine beauty, we don't describe masculine beauty as beautiful, pretty, or gorgeous, or stunning, or mesmerizing. We just have one for men. You can say good looking, you can say sexy, but in general, you have handsome. Handsome is like the more sophisticated form, I guess, of those, which would be more in the line of, and that. But when I think the purpose of this class was really to focus on objects, not people. But the object itself, like I said, we can describe the form or its subjective value. And so when we describe its subjective value, our adjectives, our language in general, it gets softer, it gets rounded. When we describe the form of this object, the strength of this object, then the language becomes angular. It becomes sharper, pointier. It becomes more like metal and concrete. There's a word like ossified, solidified, something like that. I'm sure some chemists will be able to choose a better fucking adjective to what I'm trying to say there. But either way, the language will become stronger. So we have masculine and feminine language, and we move between them. And as I was saying before, like some people have an inability to describe beauty in things because that requires them to be effeminate. As a writer, as an artist, you always move between the two, always. Even like when you're writing fiction, you move between, for example, dialogue and narrative. Your narrative is always extremely formal. In your narrative, you should never, for example, if you say, fuck, I can't think of anything. Jesus, where's something that you've written, Kian? Can we open anything you've written without actually opening all of your files and showing like the two people on the internet what you have here? Neuro book. I don't have a title for this book yet. I have no idea what it is. Where's a narrative? All right, so if we look here at narrative, and we say, for example, no amount of will, though, could keep him from eyeing the capsule in the salesman's hands. It was smaller than he had imagined. Shit. Than he had managed. God damn it, I can't read. I'm slightly dyslexic. This is why I don't read books or directions or anything. No amount of, it's also why I accidentally set fire to my cake mixer when I was trying to make a cake, because I didn't follow the instructions. I put them in the wrong order. As an interesting thing in life about order, for example, to make a cake, you need eggs, milk, and flour, something like that. But if you put in flour, eggs, and milk in that order, you don't make a cake. You set fire to your cake mixer. Fucking experience. No amount of will, though, could keep him from eyeing the capsule in the salesman's hands. It was smaller than he had imagined. A great deal, in fact. Shit. See, Kian? You fucked up there. I'm trying to create a fucking lesson here. He had heard all about it on the radio and the TV. It was all that anyone ever talked about. The ads, though, had made it seem as if he would be swallowing... Kian... This is called editing, ladies and gentlemen. Your first run through, everything is not how it should be. Be swallowing an entire computer. Yet this was barely the size of a freckle. And it sparkled too, like a tiny star plucked from the sky. In narrative, as we see, you shouldn't contract. You're not allowed to contract. Everything has to be formal. And so that formality means everything is open and structured. In your dialogue, on the other hand, you represent the way people speak, and that contracts entirely. And it's then the relationship, the juxtaposition of dialogue and narrative. You can play with humor, and you can kind of develop a character and kind of hint towards what the character's really thinking. You can play with things. You create shadows and dimension with that juxtaposition. And yes, I had fucking contracted it all, but only because it was my first run through. I haven't edited this and will not edit until I've written the first draft, and then I'll write the second, third, and fourth drafts of this book. But that was just a thing to show something. So when we come back to this language here, our form and structure. That's it. There was no purpose to this class at all. Did we learn something? Let's end this so it makes it look like we learned something today. When we describe objects in English, we can describe the form of that object. We describe the essence of what we see, and so our language becomes effeminate. We use feminine language. When we describe the structure of that object, the velocity, the pace, the power, the strength, our language becomes more masculine. It becomes firmer, harder. It becomes pointed, it becomes rigid. It becomes like a fucking sword. And it stabs, and it clanks, and it kabangs, and it does all those things that hammers do. When we describe that form, we're not beating a rock into shape. We're painting something. It becomes the brush. It's softer. It moves the paint across the canvas. It doesn't carve into the side of a mountain. And so all things are masculine and feminine. It's that we become masculine and feminine when we describe those things. That was the point of today's lesson. So maybe we should just edit that bit, but the problem is I don't edit these. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'd know that. That's it. Oh yeah, if you want to have some classes, give me an email. I teach online, and it's a little different to this because I'm actually talking to you, and it's far better dynamic. This is just weird for you, but for me, because who are you? Fucking camera. Who am I? That's it. As always, love the people who love you. Everybody else is just a piece of shit. And I'm going to try and do another adjective video today, tomorrow, the next couple of days. I'm busy because I'm writing my new book. I spend all my time with my little monsters, who my daughter wants to make some food right now, so we're going to eat and make some lunch. And I write a lot, I run a lot, I work out, and I practice my yoga, and all of my pillars are in equanimity at the moment. And recording these videos is not vital. No, it's not, because I'm trying to work on my new novel at the moment. So there's time between recording. I'm trying to get at least one done a month, maybe two done a month, but not one a week or two a week like I was doing before, just because I've got my other priorities. And I got a lot of students to teach. So if you do want classes, hey, give me an email, give me a message, find me on LinkedIn, those type of things, and you can find my number and all of that, and I can teach you online, as we do. All right, ciao.